Hey guys, Reese here from Psalm 71:17, and I'm here to give you my second lesson in my solo course. If you didn't watch the first, I'm doing a solo course on delivering a speech. And in my first video, we covered how to choose a good topic and a good intro. So today we are going to be moving on from that and into your outline for your speech. Now bear in mind that different settings, different environments will make different speeches have different outlines. For example, if you were to give a Devo on a certain topic, that speech's structure, its everything, would be much more different than if you were giving it up in a pulpit on Sunday morning. So, different structures will vary due to different environments. In this video, the structure that I will be giving, I will be basing on if you're up in a pulpit on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night. I may do another one on how to give like a short little Devo, what the structure would look like then. I may go into how long I would allow time-wise to write these speeches, because let me tell you, like I said in my last video, never wait to the last minute to write a speech, because you have no idea if the topic, or all three of them in my case, are going to just completely be a wash. So make sure that you allow for enough time. I'll go into that later. For now, we're going to be covering the structure of a speech as you're giving it in a pulpit. For example purposes, I've chosen the armor of God as my topic once again. For a speech in the pulpit on the armor of God or any topic, my structure would look like this. Introduction, or as I like to call it, hook. Its goal, get people's attention. First point, first paragraph. Lay a foundation for what you're talking about. Second point, go a little more in depth about what you're talking about. Third point, how this can apply to you and to me. Invitation. And there you go. Pretty easy, right? Well, not so easy when you look at it with a specific topic. I know that what I just laid out was a very, very basic structure, and that's what we're covering. I'm taking this from the very beginning, because I'm still a somewhat beginner speaker myself. I've done a couple speeches, but I'm still learning myself. So I hope y'all can learn with me, but for now, that's the structure we're going to be using. Introduction, first point, second point, third point, invitation. And I say point, I don't know that point is the best word. Maybe section or paragraph. Different sections of a speech. Most people do use different points, like a 3-point speech. That's a term in real life, like a real life term, a 3-point speech, but it can be different sections, different paragraphs. It can be anything that works for you, but we're going to be using the 3-section speech as our example for our structure. So, if I were doing this type of speech on the armor of God, I would get them with my intro. We talked about that last video. May want to watch that. A good intro for the armor of God. How about this? You're standing alone in a field, and the enemy's coming. There are darts headed towards you, and there's only one thing that can stop them, and that's your armor. And I would relate that to the Bible verse that is talking about the armor of God, that quench the fiery darts of the wicked one. So that would be my intro. The hard thing about going from your super exciting intro into your points, that can be sometimes hard to distinguish. And remember in my last video how I said, if you choose an intro that isn't related to your topic, it's going to be seriously mismatched and people will probably get a little irritated. It can be the same with this. If your transition is bad, your intro is super exciting and it's on point, and then you go directly into your point. You have to make sure that there is a transition, that people know what you're saying with your intro. In my last video, I used the example of a speech I gave when I was younger. The topic was getting to heaven, and my intro was, I was using an event in my childhood, a game of hide and seek, as my hook. And I paralleled that to getting to heaven. My hook was, I was in a desperate situation. I was playing hide and seek, and I was cornered. I was hiding on a hill. The person who was it was coming towards me, and my only hope of escape was to go through a thorn bush and over a fence to get to the base where I would be safe. And that was my hook. And I began to draw the parallels between that and heaven, which I know you're thinking, how did he draw parallels between that and heaven? Basically, the thorn bush was like sin, and how all Christians go through sin, there's no avoiding it. The fence was Jesus, you have to go through Jesus, or over Jesus, in the case of the hide-and-seek game, to get to the base, which is heaven. You have to go through Jesus to get to heaven. Anyway, if I had used that, I was in a desperate situation, I was playing hide-and-seek, now let's talk about heaven. People would have been like, what? It would have been on topic if I explained myself, but if I don't explain myself, then it's still going to feel like it was off topic. So make sure you have a smooth transition. My transition for that speech was, I said, I had to go through a thorn bush and over a fence to get to the base where I'd be safe. Looking back on that, I now realize how much that scenario is like my Christian life. I imagine, and then I go into all the parallels. I imagine the bush as sin. I imagine the fence as Jesus. The base as heaven. And so that was my transition. I went from saying, this is my hook. This is what happened when I was a kid. To, this is about heaven. This is how to get to heaven. And I drew those parallels. That is the importance of a good transition. Not going to go any further with that. I've probably spent too much time on it already. My last video was 11 minutes long, and I had no idea that it was that long until I uploaded it. I actually accidentally left a segment out of that video, like a 3-minute segment out of that video, while I was putting it together. So that tells you how long I was filming. But I'm going to try to keep this one a little shorter. I say that, I'll probably be longer. But anyway, just bear with me. So we go from our introduction to our transition into our first, I'll call it section. First section, first point. For the armor of God, I would lay down a foundation as to what they are. And I'm not just saying breastplate of righteousness, shield of faith, sword of the Spirit, sandals of peace, belt of truth, done. No, I would go in to each of those individual aspects. Helmet of salvation. Why is salvation represented as the helmet? Or I would even say that for the second segment, as to why they are that. Or whatever, but I would go in depth as to what they are. What the armor of God is. Why is it represented as armor? That sort of thing. From there, you can transition into your second point. The transitions in between points don't have to be as complicated, because you're in the intro, you're going from exciting to meat. The meat of the speech, as I like to call it, which is the points, the information, the doctrine. So you're going from excitement to doctrine. So you have to transition. But in between points, you're going from doctrine to more doctrine. So it can be like a sentence worth of transition. And that would be pretty easy. Second point for armor of God, I would first explain what they are. I would probably then explain what they do. The armor of God, as explained in Ephesians, quenches the fiery darts of the wicked one. It is our protection against the world. The shield of faith, faith protects us. The sword of the Spirit, the word of God, that is our weapon. Salvation, it guards us. All this stuff is meant to protect us from the world. So if we don't have one of these things, we don't have the protection. And I would go into that. Next transition. This transition from 2 to 3 might be a little more complicated than from 1 to 2. 1 to 2 is doctrine to doctrine. 3 is going to be a little different. 3 is supposed to hit closer to home, because you're going from there into your invitation. So you're not want to go straight from hard, solid doctrine, facts, to this, how this should affect you. So you're going to want to transition that. For the third point, you should say how the armor of God can apply to you, to the crowd. How the armor of God applies to a person. So, I'd say the Bible, like I said in my previous, the Bible is your weapon. Not a literal weapon. I did a puppet show once where we were using this example, and I gave one of the other puppets a Bible, and I said, use this as your weapon. And the character used it and hit the devil over the head with it. And my character said, not exactly what I was thinking, but you're supposed to use the words out of the Bible, not hit the devil over the head, because the devil doesn't really show himself in his actual form, so you can't literally hit him, and it probably wouldn't do much against him anyway. But the words of the Bible, the words of God, should be our weapon. And that kind of makes sense, because God is the most powerful being there ever will be, and we have His words, so His words are the most powerful thing we will ever see. So we could be using those as our weapon. That's how I would use it to apply to us. And finally, once you're done with your third point, you go into your invitation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that most invitations are extended like this. The invitation is offered tonight if you want to obey the gospel and be baptized, or if you want to have this congregation pray for you, please come forward as we stand and sing. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That if that reaches someone, if someone is affected and they come forward, more power to the preacher. But I don't think that that invitation is as powerful as one that you've really thought through. Not just one you've said from rote memory. It's like when you pray. When you pray, like before a meal, you seem to get into a habit of what you say, so that by about 2 weeks in, you're just saying the same thing. It can be the same way with invitations. You just say the same thing. But if you put some thought into it, it can mean a lot more. It's like the thing I said with the hook, only the reverse. With the hook, if you start out by saying, today we will be talking about the armor of God, people aren't going to be as apt to listen to you as you're in an open field and the enemy is coming towards you, because they're going to want to know what you're saying. When you get to your invitation, you should still have people's attention. But if you drop your topic completely, if you say, today we will offering the invitation, then their attention, it's dropped. You know what they're thinking about? They're thinking about lunch. Sorry, being real here, but so you want to put a little bit thought into your invitation. And try to make it relate to your topic. Like for the armor of God, I'd say, the armor of God is accessible to all of us today, but without the entire armor, every piece of armor, then it's worthless. You can't just have the shield of faith without the sword of the Spirit or the belt of truth. You have to have all of it. And if you don't have one of these pieces of armor, namely salvation, then that is a problem. You can come fix that tonight. I obviously wouldn't phrase it like that, but that'd be my basis. I would apply it to my topic. So if you can do that, if you can relate what you were saying previously to the invitation, then the two would link, and it would be a lot more powerful than just saying the invitation is offered. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for notifications for when we come out with more solo course videos. If you want to contact us, email us at psalm71.17website@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Twitter at @psalm_71 or @_psalm71. I'm going to have to look that up, but it's one of those. Or you can just type in Psalm 71:17 and it should pull us up. So thanks for watching, guys.